Obamacare continues to be the failure it was designed to be, in my estimation. That's what it was designed to do, to fail. And fail it has. It's a Ponzi scheme. You pay more and more and more, and you get less and less and less out of the whole deal. And there's no help in sight. It's not getting any better. The Republicans have proposed some pretty good ideas. Health savings accounts, organizations, healthcare associations where you could have several million people in there negotiating instead of just me against the insurance industry. Healthcare is all sorts of messed up. Joining me now, Elaine Parker, president of the Job Creators Network Foundation. Elaine, welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no reform, no solutions. The Democrat solution, let's just push out the subsidies. The enhanced subsidies, by the way, that were supposed to be temporary because they said so, out on infinitum. I mean, it's just another bill that the American taxpayer gets for a lousy system. It's not getting any better, is it?
It's not, Steve. And I think that you pegged it right when you said Obamacare was designed to fail. In the first year of implementation, the subsidies paid out to Obamacare recipients was about $18 billion. If we fast forward to 2025, we're sevenfold increase now at $138 billion. It's not sustainable, but what the shutdown last fall did was it pointed out to and demonstrated to Americans and the recipients of Obamacare that these costs are skyrocketing. I mean, how can they know that the costs are skyrocketing if the money's going directly to the insurers, right? And so what President Trump has proposed is to set up health savings accounts and take those subsidies that are supposed to go to low-income Americans to buy health insurance and allow them to buy the health insurance themselves. What that's going to do is add transparency and choice and competition. This is such an inflationary effect to give these subsidies directly to the insurers. Why can't we put the patients back in charge? Democrats shouldn't be against putting people back in charge. And if people still want to buy their Obamacare, they can buy their Obamacare. But if they find a better plan out there that works for their family, they can buy that too.
So what is the opposition here? Do the Democrats just want the control by the government? Because, look, it's not delivering anything better. In fact, all the Obamacare plans went way up. Our plan, and we're not part of Obamacare, went way up. Everybody's premiums go way up. The people getting rich are the insurance companies. Look, the last year I saw numbers for, which I think was 24. Half of the people in Obamacare didn't have a claim. And yet, the insurance companies got all the money anyway. How does that make sense to anyone?
Well, that's just it. It's not just the people on Obamacare that the premiums are going up for. They're going up for the people who are not on Obamacare, and they're being driven up in double-digit percentages every single year. It is not sustainable, and something needs to be done. And one of the things that you have to do is try to put patients back in charge and try to allow them to, use the subsidies and try to find less expensive policies that work for their needs. I mean, remember, Obamacare has these essential benefits that require everybody to pay for all of the benefits that you could possibly ever need. So if you're a 50-year-old man, you're paying for maternity benefits. You're paying for things that you don't need. If you've never done drugs in your life, you're paying for drug therapy and things that you don't need. And one of the other things you can do, and that you mentioned early on, is association healthcare plans. If you can expand association healthcare plans, you can allow small businesses to band together and get out of the individual markets and become groups in and of themselves, okay, whether it's by industry or size, but they can actually negotiate for less expensive premiums with insurance companies, just like these big companies do. And so allowing that to happen for small businesses, that's a game changer for them to bring down those costs. I mean, about a third of small businesses have had to drop their insurance plans and push their employees onto Obamacare because the costs are just prohibitive.
Right. It's prohibitive to the people they push onto Obamacare, too. It's not helping your employees. It's probably costing them more money for less coverage. And the other thing is this, the pricing, the way it's done. If you walk in and have an X-ray done, and you have insurance, well, here's how much here's $2,500 against your deductible. But if you pay cash, it might be $500. So why pay the deductible? Just pay cash. That's a lot of things going on here that are not working properly.
That's the transparency problem, Steve. We don't know what healthcare costs. And when you start putting patients in charge and they're actually buying their own health care, they understand what the costs of things are. Right now, we have no incentive as patients. We're not consumers, we're only patients. And we should be consumers in this way because it's our health care. It's one of the most important things we can buy. But we have no incentive to go beyond the cost of our premium and the cost of our deductible. We don't care what it costs when we get to the desk and we check in for our appointment, right? Whereas if we did care what it costs, we would be looking for the best price and the best quality. There is no better shopper out there than a consumer with the dollars in their hand, right? And when people have the dollars in their hand, they have the control of the purchase. And that way insurance companies will have to compete for those dollars. Right now, those dollars go right to the insurance company. It's an inflationary effect, and we're seeing it every single year.
Yeah, so, but here's what just gives me a headache. The Democrats won't even listen to an idea of health savings accounts or health associations. So how do we get there? How do we get transparency of whatever an x-ray costs is what it costs? It's not $500 for cash and $2,500 if you have this insurance plan and $5,000 if you have that insurance plan. That's where it's dishonest, Mark. It's dishonest in the cost of the procedure. It costs what it costs. And a hospital or a walk-in clinic has got to say, okay, here is the point where we cover our costs and we make a little profit. I'm fine with that. But it can't be all over the board. And just so much confusion. And that's why too many people in America just throw their hands up, Elaine, and just say, I don't know. And a lot of them just go without insurance altogether because they're like, I can't afford to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for insurance that doesn't even really cover anything anymore, right?
Well, look, there's an inherent attraction from the left to have a one-size-fits-all, particularly at the federal level, a one-size-fits-all for all Americans. And that is really what Obamacare is by design, is a one-size-fits-all for everybody. And the thing is that Americans are not the same. We're different in every way. Physically, we're different in every way geographically. And so that is why it's so important and why the president is saying, let me give the money. He's not trying to cut the subsidies. He's saying, let me give the money to the people. Let them go shop for their best plan. So, the Democrats can argue with it, except nobody's trying to cut the subsidies. They're trying to actually give the subsidies to the people so that they can shop for the benefits.
That
and the
makes
reality
the most
is
sense.
the forces of the free enterprise, they will win. We will have choice, transparency, and competition.
Except there's people that don't want any of the things you just mentioned. Therein lies the problem. Elaine Parker, Job Creators Network Foundation, thank you for being here. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to find a solution if it kills us. And, well, it just might. Elaine, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Really appreciate it. It just doesn't make sense, and it's the thing is, it can be solved. It can be solved. But the people we send to Washington don't seem too inclined or motivated. There's no sense of urgency on their part. They've got insurance. They've got the best health coverage in the world. What do they care? I'll take a break and be right back. All right, I keep up on this story because it is a national obsession, so I'll just give you the latest on it. Savannah Guthrie yesterday put out another video. And does this make any sense to you, by the way? What are we, 9-10 days into the disappearance of her mother? No conversations with those that allegedly sent ransom notes to TMZ and others, right? Doesn't make sense. Investigators were out taking the manhole covers off the septic tank in the house here over the weekend. You've got the family out there who obviously is exhausted emotionally and physically. Terrible situation, but what is the truth? We'll find out at some point, I guess, but it seems to me that, doesn't it seem weird there's no video? Nobody else in the neighborhood has a doorbell camera that picked up a vehicle, a suspicious person, an activity at midnight or 1 in the morning. Just doesn't seem to add up to me anymore. How do you feel about it? Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. All right, so Savannah put out another video yesterday. It's Bite 6. And again, pleading, saying, first, thank you for all the prayers and all the support. And then she said this.
We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
The last alleged deadline to pay $6 million, we're told, in crypto, Bitcoin specifically, was yesterday at 5 o'clock local time there in Arizona. The deadline came and went. Proof of life? Don't know. And obviously they're not telling us everything because it's an investigation. They're trying to sort out who's doing what and who's where and what's happening. Something about it is off. Send me an email. Tell me your thoughts. SteveGruber.com. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think's really happening here? I can tell you this. It is not a typical kidnapping scenario. If it was, they'd take the medicine because you have to keep the person in good shape. You wouldn't leave the life-saving medication at home. I mean, to be fair, I'm getting to the point where it occurs to me that maybe Nancy didn't survive the first day. And I don't mean to be morbid. But if she needed that medication and needed it daily, which is what we were told, it's been 9-10 days now, without medication, and maybe they're monitoring, I don't know what the medicine is because they won't tell us exactly. Maybe it's an easy medication to get your hands on to keep the patient or the captive, if it were, in good health. But there's just something about this. It just doesn't ring true to me anymore, and to a lot of other people either. And there are a lot of much more important things going on than the disappearance of one woman, but it is a heartbreaking. Everybody has a mom. So everybody can relate to if your mother was taken and you didn't know where she was, what a horrible thing to deal with, right? Somebody is missing. An 84-year-old woman is missing who has health problems. But there is something about this that does not ring true at all. No DNA, no footprints, no tire tracks, no anything, nothing to go with. No video cameras, no surveillance. It's like they live in a black hole in 2026. To me, it's just not normal. I want to play this next bite for you. It's bite number 9. The reason being is this guy's running for governor in Georgia. Brand new commercial from this guy, Rick Jackson. I'd like you to meet him. I thought the commercial was really solid. Here it is.
My dad abandoned us when I was 9 months old. My mom was an alcoholic. I ran away from the projects for the first of 5 foster homes. I learned that you can curse the darkness or find the light. I'm Rick Jackson, shoe shining, ticket scalping, vacuum sales. I found a purpose in work and built a $3 billion business serving 20 million American patients every year. Like President Trump, I don't owe anybody anything. And like you, I'm sick of career politicians. Now I'm running for governor so Georgia can lead America in criminal deportations, to cut income taxes in half and freeze property taxes. Career politicians are going to do nothing, get rich, and keep you in the dark. They always do. But if you're ready for a conservative who knows how to fight tough times and win, I'm Rick Jackson, and I'm ready to light things up.
I'm ready to light things up. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty solid commercial. He came from less than nothing, fought his way through the foster care service, sold vacuums door to door, and built a multi-billion-dollar business. That's America. In Georgia, talk about problems with voting. This is why we need the SAVE Act. This is why John Thune must get his act together. Fix the filibuster problem, which means eliminate it. It's not constitutional, never designed this way. The American government was not designed so that the minority party could hold the country hostage, which is what's happening because of these weak-willed, spineless, feckless weasels in Washington. Anyhow, sports up next with Brock. I'll be right back. All right, let's check in on sports now with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The game of the night in men's college basketball lived up to the hype as number 9 Kansas gave number 1 Arizona its first loss of the season, 82-78, last night in Lawrence, Kansas. Flory Badunga and Melvin Council Jr. each had 23 points for the Jayhawks. Braden Burries had 25 for Arizona in a losing cause. With the Wildcats lost, only 23rd-ranked Miami of Ohio is undefeated on the men's side. In women's college basketball, number 4 Texas won at home over 16th-ranked Kentucky, 64-53, and 5th-ranked Vanderbilt took down 10th-ranked Oklahoma, 102-86. In the NBA, there were 10 games last night. Winners included Detroit, Cleveland, Golden State, and Oklahoma City. And in the National Football League, the Las Vegas Raiders named Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak as their new head coach. With Kubiak's hiring, no more head coaching openings in the league. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock. So, when do the ratings come out?
For the Super Bowl, I would think today or tomorrow.
No, I didn't mean that. But I mean, Turning Point USA brought in 50 million viewers total and counting, so that's pretty remarkable. The NFL is going to have to take note of that, I think. What do you think?
So what is that? Is that streaming and everybody?
10 million streaming and the rest on social media platforms.
Okay.
But that was as of early yesterday. I haven't really looked, but if the NFL lost 25 million eyeballs to an alternative halftime program, that hurts them. I don't see how it doesn't.
They could have very easily fixed this by going with one of the most famous San Francisco bands ever, Metallica.
See, there you go. Wouldn't that have been something?
They would have been great. Everybody knows they put on a great show.
Listen to that. Anthony, would you have thought that Brock was a Metallica fan?
I could see it. I thought he was kind of into K-pop, but Metallica makes sense.
No.
Yeah, me too.
No.
Anyhow.
Give me a Nickelback halftime show.
Oh,
no, thanks.
Boy.
It's okay.
All right.
This ain't the Stanley Cup Finals.
The future of crypto, the future of silver, and so much more. We're going to have that coming up. And a county sheriff who doesn't know who he works for or what the Constitution is. We've got that coming up the next hour. Don't miss it.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, welcome to it as we kick off another brand new hour here, fighting for you from the Foxhole. I'm glad to have you on board on this Tuesday. So much to talk about, so little time. Glad you're here. Let's get right to it. Three big things to know this hour. Number one, a liberal Michigan influencer, a nurse, an obstetrics nurse, saying if you support ICE, you're a piece of... Yeah, she ran to the libs of TikTok. Meantime, number two, foreign money not welcome. Michigan House has tightened the ballot rules for foreign money coming into our elections. And number three, here's something that's going to affect you and me and everybody. Big changes coming for regulations when it comes to climate change. This is the headline: the Trump administration to repeal the Obama-era greenhouse gas finding on a large-scale deregulation. The endangerment finding is well, it's on the to-do list to get rid of for the Trump administration. President Trump's administration poised to walk back an Obama-era greenhouse gas finding that serves as the linchpin. It is the center. It is ground zero for justifying climate regulations across the country over the last 15 or 20 years. The 2009 endangerment finding identifies 6 greenhouse gases that the Obama administration said pose, quote, a threat to public health and welfare. That harm finding was then used to justify sweeping climate regulations from the EPA. Like all of this regulation on what the fuel economy, your car has to get more and more mileage. It built this burst in EVs. But EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin hailed the move as cutting through government red tape in an interview with the Wall Street Journal. This amounts to the largest act of deregulation in the history of the United States. It's the biggest deregulatory move in the history of the United States. The Journal reporting that the final rule will be made public later this week, set to eliminate requirements to measure, report, certify, and comply with the federal government's greenhouse gas emission standards for motor vehicles. It doesn't yet affect power plants or oil and gas facilities, but we'll get there. Doug Burgum, the Interior Secretary, the former governor of North Dakota, said more energy drives human flourishing. Energy abundance is the thing that we have to focus on, not regulating certain forms of energy out. Boy, is he right. America runs on vast quantities of cheap energy. It is what ran the industrialization of this country. It will run us into the future when you've got data centers and AI and all this demand for power. We need power, not government interference. The president expected to hold an event at the White House Wednesday with Lee Zeldin and the Energy Secretary Chris Wright. There they will announce a new initiative for the Department of War to purchase electricity from coal-fired power plants. The Washington Coal Club is also set to name Trump the undisputed champion of coal during the event. We have so much coal in this country, be it Wyoming or West Virginia or Pennsylvania. Trump has been consistently critical of global warming claims and climate regulation through both of his terms in office, famously withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement when he first took office in 2017 and taking us out permanently more recently. We're done with that. He used the wall of winter storms across the United States as a talking point against climate insurrectionists, as he calls them. Record cold wave expected to hit 40 states. Rarely seen anything like it before, Trump wrote on social media last month. Could the environmental insurrectionists please explain whatever happened to global warming? Well, climate change is real, Mr. President. We know that. The Ice Age ended 12,000 years ago in earnest. It gave us the Great Lakes, the Mississippi River, the most fertile farm ground in the world, all of it. But it wasn't my fault, and it wasn't your fault either. but they're rolling it back. That is good news. Good news. All right. Fraud, another big headline these days. Fraud. Minnesota really revealed it to the country, but Minnesota, when it's all said and done, probably small potatoes by comparison. What were they at? $19 billion in fraud identified thus far and growing. $19 billion, and that's just going to be a little teeny bit of it. Little teeny bit of it. Here's a small town mayor in Minnesota, by the way, talking about fraud in his small town and how damaging it is. And so this is a small town guy. Small towns like this all across America with similar issues. Listen.
To you. So do please tell us, what have you uncovered there?
Thank you, Sandra. So we've seen just in the last recent month this fraud take off with federal investigators flooding the state of Minnesota, as this is a huge concern. Just last week, we had another third-party independent investigated auditing team audit the state of Minnesota, and they came up with 14 high-risk programs that could estimate up to another $1 billion in fraud alone. Fraud is impacting every citizen in the state of Minnesota, and especially city budgets. As Minnesota state government inflates their budgets on top of the fraud, that shrinks the city's ability to be able to tax their citizens if we need to do a project just to operate normal services in our communities.
So you and other mayors are banding together, and that number is apparently growing by the day. You're banding together. You're calling for accountability and reform. You want to clean up the state. But the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, says, there's nobody implicated in any of this.
Yeah. Fraud everywhere. And just think about how easy it was. I mean, the Somali community in Minnesota has been established for, 25 years? They have a use rate of welfare programs north of 70%, sometimes north of 80%. They're all broken on welfare, but somehow they're making millions of dollars fleecing the taxpayers. Meanwhile, one more thing I want to get to. A sheriff in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, has no idea who, this is embarrassing to watch, has no idea who he works for. Listen.
Branch of government do you operate under?
Mecklenburg County.
What branch of government do you operate under, Sheriff?
Constitution of the United States.
Correct. That is what establishes the branches of government. I'm asking which branch you fall under.
Mecklenburg County. I'm a duly sworn Mecklenburg County Sheriff. We answer to the people of Mecklenburg County.
This was not where I was anticipating getting stuck. Are you aware of how many branches of government there are?
No.
Okay. For the sake of debate, I will move on and say there are 3 branches of government: legislative, executive, judicial. Of those 3, which do you believe you fall under?
I believe I fall under the last one.
Would you say it to me?
Judicial.
Okay. You are incorrect, sir. You fall under the executive.
Yeah. Doesn't even know what the Constitution is. That's a county sheriff in America, 2026. Wow. I'll take a break. For those of you that don't know, I've had the opportunity to hunt all over the world. I used to hunt professionally, made television shows for the Outdoor Channel for 25 years. I've seen a lot of different things, spent a lot of time in different states, different countries, different hunting opportunities. And I never did quite understand the ban on baiting for white-tailed deer in Michigan. Apparently that might come to an end. And the reason I didn't understand it was, in effect, a cornfield is a bait pile, whether it's concentrated or not. A hay field, come December, is a bait pile. Well, State Representative Jennifer Wards has put through a plan to allow deer baiting again. Looks like it's going to happen. She joins me now. Jennifer, thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me, Steve. Great to be on your show.
I live in the middle of a deer superhighway here at my house, which is true of a lot of places in Michigan. We have the second largest deer herd in America, second only to the state of Texas now. They're thicker than fleas, and unless you're a deer hunter, deer are more often a nuisance than anything else. They involve in car accidents. They eat all the fancy flowers. They create problems for people, right? So now deer baiting. Tell me what's going on with it. There was a ban on deer baiting because of a concern with chronic wasting disease, CWD, over the last few years. CWD, in my estimation, was overblown. People can say what they want, but there is no real impact. I mean, it's lived in the wild sheep herds of this world for 500 years. They're not dying off, and oftentimes deer with CWD can live a full life, 7, 8, 9 years. So tell me about your plan to allow deer baiting again.
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me. I live in southern Michigan, in one of the most populated areas for deer in the state of Michigan. And in 2019, the state imposed a banning on baiting deer in the lower peninsula. So you can bait deer in the UP of Michigan, just not the lower peninsula. And they argued that it was because bait piles would encourage deer to congregate, causing an increase in the spread of disease, like chronic wasting disease, as you mentioned, or bovine tuberculosis. However, they gave little explanation or background as to why and the science behind this. And frankly, coming from an agriculture background, my degree's in agriculture, the fact of the matter is that deer are herd animals. They come from that genus species type, just like cattle that are going to congregate together. Sheep, you mentioned, they're a hoofed animal. And so regardless of what the state regulates, deer aren't going to stop hanging out in their herds together. And so all
exactly
this is
right. In fact, right now, if you drive around anywhere between Lansing and Branch County, where you're from, you'll see routinely deer well over 100 together in a herd right now. They're all yarded up, as they say. At that time of the year, they all get together, they all commingle, they hang out. And so a ban on baiting didn't make a lot of sense, did it?
Not at all. And as you just pointed out, and we counted on the way to the Super Bowl party we went to 3 miles away Sunday night. We counted over 20 deer that we passed in the course of 3 miles. And so, no, all it's done is actually, I think, take away the opportunity for hunters in a very small fraction of time in Michigan to hunt, to actually have success, thus increasing our population of deer, in particular our doe population, which continues to increase the amount of deer that we have. You mentioned we're second only to the state of Texas, although Texas is 3 times the size of the state of Michigan.
Why don't we extend, here's something else. States around us like Ohio, their deer season is open until the first couple of days of February every year. Why not longer seasons? Why not longer extended doe seasons? I mean, we have a problem with too many does. What about making it a $1 state? I mean, I've got all sorts of great ideas to make deer hunting better in Michigan. I'm here to help you.
Those are all bills that I'm working on, actually. That's funny that you've mentioned that. I've introduced legislation on that. It hasn't got a committee hearing yet that would extend the hunting season or also allow for, you shoot 2 does, then you get a buck permit for free. So we have to incentivize, a lot of these game hunters want that big trophy buck, which is great, but it does not help manage the population of the deer herd in Michigan. And so we really have to address that doe population and hopefully incentivize. My goal with this is that deer baiting alone isn't going to fix the issue, but if you can get a young person out and hunt and get to shoot that first deer, and they see how great that is and that feeling, that they'll become a lifetime hunter.
You
And
would
we
hope
need
so.
more hunters.
Yeah. Here's another idea for you. Urban hunting zones. The best deer I've ever killed in my life, the 2 biggest bucks of all time, came inside the city limits of Columbus, Ohio, where bow hunting was legal. There are ways to control the populations. I'm not sure the people in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor will take me up on it, but a lot of other places will. All right, let's be honest about that. The best deer hunting in Michigan right now is probably inside the city limits of Detroit and all those areas that have gone feral. The pheasant hunting is probably pretty good there too. I like where you're going with this, Jennifer, because we need to increase the opportunity. You could do what Illinois does, which means you can take 2 bucks, but not with the same weapon. If you kill one with a gun, you have to kill a second one with a bow. It makes it tougher, just because what happens is all the young bucks get smashed, and then people say, well, I didn't see a big buck. Well, gee, if he doesn't get old enough, he's not going to be there.
Right.
I'll give you the last word on this. When do you think this is going to happen? Do you have bipartisan support?
I did. We passed it with the votes of 10 Democrats voting last week in support on the bill in the House. And so we're working with the Senate right now, trying to grease some wheels, as you would say, to try to get a committee hearing over there. I'm not sure if we'll get some traction. Obviously, we still have Governor Whitmer until the end of this year. So
we'll see what happens.
I
You're on
don't
the right
know.
track, though, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I
Thank
applaud
you.
you for doing the right thing. Yeah, you come back anytime. We'll talk about deer hunting and good ideas for regulation. I'm here to help.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate your recommendations.
Thank you. Jennifer Wards from Quincy, Michigan, I believe. Thank you for being here.
Thanks. Have a good day.
There you have it. Yeah, stop this silly deer baiting ban, please. I'll take a break and be right back. I got a question for you. Are you watching the Winter Olympics at all? I actually saw a little bit of it last night. I saw some downhill skiing. Boy, is that frightening. Top speeds over 90 miles an hour with 2 sticks strapped to your feet. I'm fearless, but even that gave me goosebumps, all right? Meanwhile, Dutch speed skating star Jutta Leerdam, I think that's how you say it, Jutta Leerdam, she's the fiancée of Jake Paul. She won a gold medal in the 1,000-meter speed skating yesterday and set an Olympic record in the process, 1:12:31. Got the gold medal. She's 27 years old. She's engaged to Jake Paul. Don't go boxing, Jake. Let your girlfriend be the athlete. Anyhow, pretty remarkable. My question is serious. Are you watching the Winter Olympics?
Yes, I am.
And what do you like so far?
I'm liking the hockey so far. Women's hockey, they're playing Canada today. The United States is. Canada, the arch rivals. They're playing this afternoon. And U.S. mixed doubles curling goes for gold this afternoon when they play Sweden.
And I saw that conclusion yesterday. The Americans were up against the defending gold medal team, right?
Italy, on home ice for Italy, and rallied from behind in the last end, which is like an inning,
right?
For like an inning in baseball.
Yeah,
and they scored. They scored 2 in the final end to win. What was it, 9-8? I think it was.
The last rock.
Yep, the very last one.
Yeah, pretty cool actually. I think it's a brother and sister team, maybe.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Anyhow,
on that,
it was cool.
It was great.
It was cool. Good stuff. So you are watching it. So any idea what the viewership numbers are?
Oh, I thought I saw something on Twitter or X that the opening ceremonies did very, very well for NBC. I guess they're happy through the first 3 or 4 days. Obviously disappointed about Lindsey Vohn's horrible injury, but an American won the women's downhill. So
yeah, her teammate won the gold anyway, so whatever. There you have it. Brock Palmbush, Olympic aficionado.
And the men's hockey tournament begins later this week, and I'll definitely be watching that.
Well, there you go. All right. Nothing like 1980, but we'll do our best. Thank you, Brock. We'll take a break and be right back. It is the Steve Gruber Show. Send me an email. Are you watching, not watching? Post it on social media. Let me know. I'll be right back. All right, so I saw this on the rundown. I said, I like this one. I like this idea because here's the headline, all right? You ready for this? Here's the headline. Common Sense Cowboy. The Common Sense Cowboy's Guide to Life, stories from the old guy at the end of the bar. How long till that's me, I wonder? Patrick Doranson is with me now. Patrick, how are you?
Pretty good, Steve. How you doing?
I'm good. Where do you live?
I live in southern Utah, southwest corner.
Yeah, so you'll get a kick out of this. We were in Aspen, Colorado over the weekend, and my wife and I could not help but laugh about the wannabe fake cowboys. How many cowboys with big cowboy hats like yours walk around in white tennis shoes? Just a rough number.
Oh, between one and none.
Exactly. Oh, we got a kick out of that. Look, you got a cowboy hat in the cleanest, whitest tennis shoes I ever saw in my life. Anyhow, you're an iHeartRadio
Watch
host.
too much Yellowstone.
Yeah, exactly. But Yellowstone, they actually wore cowboy boots. Look, I went to college in Montana. I spent 25 years making TV shows for the Outdoor Channel. I can spot a real cowboy in the woods and in the hills. I know what a real elk hunter looks like. I know what a fake one looks like. You know, you see the guy who shows up to the fishing camp and all his brand new stuff like he just fell out of an LL Bean catalog. You're thinking, this dude has never caught a fish in his life. Just like, dude. Anyhow. The Common Sense Cowboy's Guide to Life. Tell me about it.
Well, it's kind of a book about a lot of different things that people should know about. And
all right.
It's kind of based upon my life and my journey from being a kid who actually grew up in the suburbs. And I come by my cowboy stuff by DNA. My mother grew up in Colorado on a cattle ranch. And over the years, as I was going through life, we always talked about her life on the ranch, and I got so interested in it. But when she died in 2006, I chucked it all and started a cowboy. And it's been quite a journey for the last 20 years. And my book is really about life and kind of just the things that people forget.
Yeah.
You know, we've gotten to a point in this country where we just talk in little bites. And what I like to do is tell people stories. I get the old guy at the end of the bar because in my younger days, I used to hang out at quite a few saloons. And there was always a guy at the end of the bar that you could go chat with.
Yeah.
And he was kind of, you know, he didn't say a lot. But when he did talk, you had to listen because he would give you the kind of advice that you really needed. And he would never say, do these 5 things and you're going to be good.
Well,
he might say something.
I got a list of some of your advice here. I'm going to give you, speaking of all that, my father's advice, because my father was a hunter and I didn't get it from any stranger. And so we would spend a lot of time in, you know, little greasy spoons like you talk about, old bars in the middle of nowhere, 2 Dot, Montana, or wherever it might have been at the time, right?
Yeah.
And he said, if you want to find where the real good hunting is, find the best poacher in town and buy him a beer and have a couple conversations. So that might not be on your list here, but find the best poacher in town and buy him a beer. He starts.
He knows where the game is.
Exactly.
He's got to make a living at it.
Exactly. And so that's my dad's advice. But here, let me give you a couple from the book that The Secret to a Long Life, Getting Up Every Day with a Purpose, young or old, working or retired. Everyone needs a purpose, so find yours. I like that one. I like number 2 here on the list a lot. Never betray trust, because trust is like virginity. Once lost, it's impossible to get back. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, it sure is. And you know, in America today, you and I probably grew up in the era where a handshake meant everything.
Meant something. Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't have to have 6 lawyers on each side talking about whereases and heretofores. So, you know, to me, if you can't give somebody your trust and they can't depend on it, you ain't worth much.
Yeah. Let's see here. This is one I like because I always like, you know, I always met the best people in my life when I was making those shows for the Outdoor Channel for 25 years, Patrick. I can tell you this. The best people I ever met in my life were around campfires, whether it was fishing camp, hunting camp, didn't matter. best people I ever met in my life because you get real. You get real at that point. You know,
Right.
Whether you're probably had a couple of beers, the stars are out, it's midnight, the fire's crackling, people tell stories. So here at number 6 on your list, a fancy education might gain you some knowledge, but only hard life experiences will gain you wisdom, because a PhD doesn't fix a flat tire. How many people do you, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've said this to my wife for years, the dumbest people I've ever met in my life, Patrick, had Ivy League degrees.
Yeah, I know, because they've never done anything.
Exactly. The dumbest
You
people
know.
function, and you wonder, how do you function out in the world? What would they do? I mean, I know what I would do. You're probably a little bit better set up than I am, but if the electricity went out for a week, are you worried about it? Because I'm not.
No, I mean, it's called survival. These guys couldn't survive. You know,
Yeah.
they get medical advice from Google, and you know they don't know the business end of a hammer.
Right.
And they're not the kind of people that you'd really want to be. If you're stuck with one of those people somewhere, you better start saying Hail Marys.
Yeah. Not only could they not gut a fish, they couldn't catch a fish to gut it in the first place. That's the problem they face, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're all, well, I'm not going to eat that. It's gamey. My father had that saying too. Gamey? You mean it has flavor unlike that crap you buy at the store? Yeah, I mean, you know, honestly, I'd rather have an elk backstrap or a wild trout than anything I can ever get at the market, right? I mean, you probably feel the same way.
Well, yeah, and you know something else, Steve? There's a situation in America today, and the situation that I look at is that more people are declaring themselves kind of independent, and part of that is because we have two political parties that couldn't find their rear end in a dark room with both hands.
That's
So
right.
let me give you an example of how I feel this and illustrate what I think America is today. America is like a car careening down a road, and in the front seat are the Republicans and the Democrats. And one guy's pulling the steering wheel right, and one guy's pulling the steering wheel left, and all of a sudden the car ends up in the ditch. Then they turn around to us, the American people who are sitting in the back seat, and they say, "Hey, get out of the car and get us out of this ditch." And they said, "No, by the way, you're going to pay for any damage that we caused." And I think most people have said, forget both political parties, because political parties right now are about as useful as a pair of pajamas.
Yeah. I think it might actually be worse. They say, we're not getting out of the car. You get out of the car, call
You
a
get out
tow
of the
truck,
car.
and you pay for it. I think that's what happened. You call the tow truck and you pay for us to get out of this. Anyhow, Patrick, I got to leave it there. The Common Sense Cowboy's Guide to Life. Good stuff, Patrick. You come back anytime. I like you.
I appreciate it, Steve. Thanks a lot.
All right, yeah. They couldn't gut a fish because they could never catch a fish to begin with. The electricity goes off and the microwave doesn't work and the ATM card fails. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I think it'd be entertaining to see the world without electricity for a week. Just a week. I mean, I like electricity too, but for a week, it'd be pretty entertaining, don't you think? All right, I'll take a break. When I come back, somebody else who knows how to hunt and fish, my wife, Ivy, will be here after this. All right, that was fun. I had a good time there with that young man, Patrick Dorranson, the Common Sense Cowboy. Yeah, I like that a lot. Here's some more common sense coming straight at you. Here's Ivy. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great. Feel a little bit refreshed, although a bit sore after our weekend getaway.
Man, you were killing it snowboarding out there. I got video proof. Ivy was killing it. She was standing on top of a cliff saying, I can't do this. And her instructor said, sure you can. Didn't he?
Snowboarding?
Snowboarding. It was great.
Yeah, I was skiing, Brock.
I mean, the thing I was best at was falling, but I improved. You know?
We call that a controlled fall. So Brock, there's a place there called Buttermilk at Aspen, which is all that big half pipe stuff and these big
half pipe, yeah. Huge jumps.
Whatever. Yeah. And I said, Ivy, you ready for that? She said, hell no. I ain't doing that.
It'd be cool to watch, though. I mean, we saw some people hitting the half pipe and you'd come way up. This is, X Games. I don't know if any of you have ever watched X Games, but I grew up watching that because I was a skateboarder and surfer and things like that. So, they always do wild tricks on anything, whether it be skateboarding or a half pipe on a snowboard or skis.
Yeah, that's an Olympic sport now, Ivy.
Yeah, it is.
It has been the last few Olympics.
There you go.
Ivy, bucket list, gold medal.
Oh, yeah. Woo, here I go.
Well, come on. Where's your dedication?
Olympic gold medal for sliding the longest down the hill. Or maybe that's Guinness Book of World Records. I don't know.
Whatever it is. Anyhow.
It was great fun, though. And you did well, too. I mean, it's been a long time since you've been on the ski hill, and you skied.
I survived.
No injuries, no ER, which I very much appreciate.
I only fell 3 times in 2 days. So
there you go.
Whatever that's worth. Of course, my top speed was 11 miles an hour.
Well, I beat you by like triple, so there you go.
Anyhow, what's on your mind?
I think you had mentioned with the previous guest about, that we were staying right downtown Aspen, and there was a shop that had literally dozen people inside, a dozen people outside waiting to get their cowboy hats made.
$2,000 cowboy hats.
And I just said to him, like, isn't it like an impersonator? Like,
yes.
Because first of all, they don't have the proper shoes on because they're not wearing cowboy boots.
No, they're wearing tennis shoes.
And they're definitely not, worn cowboy boots. And then they're like spending all this money on a cowboy hat. I'm like, I just don't get it. It's a cowboy hat and fur. That was the trend.
Yeah. The fur on the women mostly and the cowboy hats on everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cowboy hats were $2,000 a piece. Would you settle down, please? $2,000 a piece. And the line was out the door, down the street, and they were going... I mean, every other shop in town's closed. It's 10 o'clock at night, and they're still cranking out cowboy hats. It was quite a business they had going.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I always think that, it's like imposter syndrome. You can't wear a cowboy hat unless you actually can ride a horse.
That's the measure. If you can't ride a horse, you should not be allowed to have a cowboy hat. I appreciate that point.
Anyhow, I want you to hear this soundbite. Anthony, it was the first one, James Comer, I sent you. Let me get your take on it. Go ahead.
We've been informed in the last few hours that the Ethics Committee is probably going to have to be the committee that takes that investigation up. I'm disappointed to learn that. We thought that the Oversight Committee could do that. So we're going to be writing a letter in the morning referring this to the Ethics Committee. And it's a simple investigation, Sean. There are 2 companies listed on Omar's husband's financial disclosure form. One was worth between $1,000 and $5,000, and then the very next year it was worth between $1 and $5 million. Another one was worth, I think, $25,000, and the next year was worth between $5 and $30 million, based on the ranges on the financial disclosure form. Either way, those are significant increases in value. We just have questions that any American would have. What type of businesses are these? That we know that the Department of Justice in the Biden administration was investigating Omar's husband for reports of fraud. We know there's a winery in question that has a big value on there that some believe isn't worth anything. So there are a lot of questions. This investigation shouldn't take long.
But so there it is, James Comer announcing that the Ethics Committee is going to be investigating Ilhan Omar's husband, a couple of his accounts. But I'm thinking to myself, man, did we choose the wrong profession?
We did.
Next year, there was an account worth $1,000 to $5,000. Now it's $1 million to $5 million.
Right.
And then there was one that was worth $25,000. That's now either
$5
million to $30 million. it's like I could do a lot of good with that kind of money, but this is the same thing that always is questioning in my mind. How do people go to Washington and get so rich? I mean, it's got to be.
Well, here's the problem. There's good news and bad news, what you said. The good news is she's being investigated. The bad news is you and I are not.
No.
I mean, if we got $30 million, I can pay the lawyers, all right?
Yeah, I gotta, I would consider myself a very ethical person with a lot of principles.
Well, then you can never be a politician.
That's probably true.
Or most lawyers. Yeah. Not all.
I think I would have made a great lawyer because I just am very good at gathering the facts and then just hammering on those facts. In my debate, I'm sure you love my debate oftentimes where I just can kill a dead horse to the point of, okay, these are the facts and I'm going to bludgeon you with them.
Yeah.
And so I'm really good at that.
I love that.
Are you happy to see me over there? I keep hearing this.
I'm so happy because little Kitty is posted up right next to the microphone.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. Oh, so that's what that is.
Yeah, that's the cat. Yeah.
It wasn't Steve looking at me like, hey, you look nice today. Anyhow, I don't think
one of those COVID videos when you would have those political conversations on Zoom or whatever, and then some little kid would come in and distract. Those were funny.
Or there's, you didn't realize you didn't turn off your camera and you're walking around naked.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yes. Or little
yeah.
kids. Yeah, little kids running around. Or,
big kids.
Animals, not just cats, dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what was that guy's name? That, the one anchor who was
from
walking
CNN.
walking around and dude.
He was doing more than walking around, babe. Just for the record.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, that part. Anyhow, I got to leave it there.
All right.
Great trip. We're refreshed. We're not injured. We saw fake cowboys. Thank you, little Kitty. At any rate, that's little Kitty. For those of you keeping score at home, he's bored now. He's going to move on. Ivy, love you.
Love you too.
All right. Yeah, the cat taking over the show. It happens. I'll be right back with some final thoughts. All right, so I mentioned this earlier, and I didn't get to it yet, so I want to get to this. The cost of beef, if you've seen it in the store, obviously is another reason that we hunt. The cost of venison has remained stable through all of it, and we eat it all the time, so you have that going for you. But the cost of beef is up, but the amount of spending on beef is up 12%. Yeah. So consumers aren't just paying higher prices, they're buying more of it. Eat real food, like Mike Tyson said, right? I guess that's the case here. Americans not turned off by the price of beef. They like it. And here's the thing that Donald Trump is aware of, and I believe something's going to be done about it. There are only 4 meat packers. You used to call them slaughterhouses, but it's not the right thing to say anymore. 4 major slaughterhouse companies in America. Beef packing companies in America. And as a result, they have basically cornered the market on pricing. We need to get that out. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, the average price of beef in grocery stores climbed from $8.40 a pound in March to $10.10 a pound by December of 2025, a 20% increase roughly. Deep-rooted demand. People are not giving up the sirloin. They're not giving up the Delmonico. They're not giving up the ribeye. Ribeye, my favorite, by the way. Bone-in ribeye. Absolutely my favorite. Love it.
Bone-in?
Yeah.
I like I love ribeye too. Either way.
Yeah. I don't know what that just I like that silver. A tomahawk steak is a ribeye with the whole rib, but you're just paying for all that bone. I don't need all that bone. So you still buy beef then, Brock?
Not very much because it's way too expensive.
But you still buy some. Yeah. Most people are buying more, apparently. I don't get it. But there's going to be an increase of imports from Argentina and elsewhere, something I don't think is a great idea. We'll see. Argentinian beef, by the way, when I was in Argentina, the beef was great. So was the red wine.
Really?
Oh, it was great.
Interesting.
Yeah, great. Anyhow, we'll leave it there for today. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you can save America.